Hello and welcome back to Mount Borealis Zoo. It is a brand new day starting here on the mountain, and it looks like we've got one issue happening over here with apparently somebody wanting to inbreed. All right. We are starting off real strong here today. What is the problem? It's because this is your son. Okay. Well then, let's just send these to the trade center. I think those are the kids. All right, we're starting off real strong. I hope you all are having a great day. The other thing that I had just noticed was we have, oh, where'd it go? Oh no, it went away. I just saw a complaint that our ticket prices were underpriced. Well, maybe after today we'll be able to put it up a little bit. I don't know. Let's see, actually. Can we see? Yeah, I want to go on the steam train. Great scenery. Zoo's great. Time to go home. Yeah, the ticket price is great. So we'll leave it at that for now because what we're adding in today is the polar bear. And I have a feeling after the polar bear's in, we're going to be able to really raise the prices up. I don't know why. These guys are all hungry. I don't know why our keepers are doing such a bad job at feeding them lately. All my animals are just constantly hungry. But anyway, let's take a look at the animals we put in last time, the Eurasian lynx and the snow leopard, because I think they might have had babies. Let's see. Yep, here we go. Look at that. Look at her. Our perfect gold-rated little snow leopard baby. How cute is that? Oh, I love it. They are so cute. You can see the other one behind her there. Oh, and look, that one's climbing up the... I've never seen them... Why can't I get out of this view? Okay, there we go. I've never actually seen them climb up here before. Wait, where did it go? Where did they go? Oh, up here. Okay, there we go. Yeah, so he's hanging up there. I was just seeing him in the background climbing up this tree here. Awesome. So what did we get for cubs? We have... So we got a female and a male. That's awesome for the snow leopards. Let's go and take a look at the lynx. Yes, it looks like we also got a little boy, or male and female babies here as well. Let's go and take a look at these guys. I bet you these guys are adorable too. Oh, look at that little kitty face. Oh, that's so cute. Hello. I love them with their giant ears. Their ears are so cool and they're so big when they're tiny. Very cute. All right. Meow. Oh, I love the animals in this game. They look so good. I'm never gonna get over it. What a little cutie. Very fun. All right, well, today we should probably move on to what we're actually going to be working on because it's going to be a big one today. It's going to be the polar bear habitat. So I don't even really know. I'm not sure at this point exactly what it's going to look like, but it's got to be big, right? So this entire area is going to be the polar bear habitat, I think. So I'm going to have it essentially be this entire area on this side of the mountain going all the way back to at least like here or so, because I know polar bears need a whole lot of space. I might actually see, because maybe we could even make it go like up on this side a little bit. That could be really cool if they can actually climb that. I don't know. I think they could. It's not very steep, but I'm not totally sure. So I'll probably play around with that a little bit, and essentially we'll just have to put in some really good walls kind of all the way along the pathways for the visitors, obviously, so that they're kind of entering the habitat, but like obviously not really entering the habitat. They can be safe from the polar bears. And I'll probably do like a bit of a like walk through as well, just to, have the guests go through, and then probably do something very similar to what we did here with the Passover. So we'll have kind of like the guest road going through here a bit, and maybe even another little guest like eating area in here, just to kind of encourage them to go in, and then like a bridge or a couple of bridges that make sure that the polar bears can actually get from one side to the other side in case the pathway is kind of breaking them up a little bit or breaking up their habitat a bit. So that's kind of the idea there. So no extravagant building builds today, but it'll definitely let us focus a lot on the habitat itself and making it look really cool and as, you know, kind of natural and as good for the polar bears as we can make it. So actually I just saw too, yeah, okay, so they do think the tickets are underpriced. So you know what? It never hurts. Let's bump it up a little bit. That was at 40. I always bump it up by 5 and then see if they complain about that or if it's good. Usually it's okay. But yeah, I think that should be good. I think that's what we're gonna head off and do today. And then obviously the last bit that we are gonna have in this zoo is the top of the mountain, but that's gonna be done at a later date. We'll worry about that then. So let's just jump right into the speed build. All right, so this is a big one today, the polar bear habitat. So right off the bat, we're gonna see, I start off with doing a bunch of landscaping because I had an idea kind of drawn out of where I wanted the different viewpoints to be and where I wanted some like underwater and cave viewing and all of that. So I did a little bit of landscaping there first. It's all gonna get kind of fixed up later on. I just needed it to, you know, sort of lay out the lay of the land a little bit here before we got started. But yeah, as you can see here, there's going to be a lot of, actually not the pathing wasn't too bad in this one. It wasn't too much of a struggle, but it's definitely a really big thing in this one. So there's going to be a lot of doing that sort of thing. But what we are actually starting with here is our first observation building. So the inspiration that I took for this whole section of the zoo was from the Louisville Zoo polar bear exhibit habitat sort of thing. I've seen this built a few times in this game as well. There was a there were a few videos that I had watched. I might put the inspiration like the links for the inspiration videos that I had watched down below, but I kind of looked through a whole bunch of different ideas for how to theme this area and what we could do, and I really liked the idea of making this area a little bit more realistic in a way. Like I wanted it to be kind of like Arctic themed, like glacial themed, but in like a real life sort of situation. So I was looking at, you know, kind of a few different options there, and I thought this mining town inspired build, like old mining town turned into polar bear exhibit, was just, I don't know, I thought it was really cool. So I thought it would fit here really well. It put a really big like stark difference between what we had just built and this section. So yeah, that's what I ended up going with. It was a little bit of a challenge for me too, because I would say that's not, I don't know, that kind of old rustic style and like run down and all of that, not my strongest building style, it turns out, but I think it looks pretty cool in the end. So yeah, as I was talking about pathing a little earlier, we're still pathing because the paths are a little bit complicated, and I am actually outlining and planning out for the rest of this area here as well. So the only part that we get done today in this video is the polar bear habitat, but I do want to make this whole area a little bit bigger than just the polar bears. So I was thinking, why don't we bring the other bears down here? We can do the grizzly bear and the Himalayan bear as well in this area, just to, you know, give guests another reason to come back here rather than just for the polar bears, because it is very out of the way and you basically have to do it like as a loop or in and out to get to this area, since there isn't another gondola station over here. And I don't think I want to put one in. I think it's fine, guests can just walk over here and walk out, but they'll have 3 exhibits to see, or 3 habitats to see in this area, so I think it'll encourage them to come in. And right now that whole mountain situation there looks a little bit funny, but I just wanted to get the idea down, and then I'll probably have to reshape and all of that. But the idea is you kind of walk up like a hiking trail around the little mini hill there, and we'll cover it in trees and all of that when we get to doing those habitats a little bit more. But I just wanted to make sure that the landscape was at least a little bit in order over here, so that if I did have to make any changes to the polar bear habitat and all of that, it didn't mess up with future plans. So that's kind of what we're aiming for right now. So this building here is going to be an underwater viewing. So that's why there's this big divot here. This is the lake. Obviously it's not full of water right now because the paths are in the way, but that is the idea. I want it to be that's going to be the dive down underwater viewing for the polar bears, which I think is going to be super cool. And it's a full building, like people can walk in, and there's like 3 levels to it as well. You can walk in from there or walk down from a little cave viewing that we'll see later on. And yeah, that is what we're working on there. So I don't know for sure. One thing that I was looking at here, I had to put the barrier here for this to work. I think that's always been the case. I don't think a building with the glass walls can hold water. I'm pretty sure we need the barrier, or maybe it was because there was like breaks in the land or something. I don't know, but it kind of works out. I think it looks fine with the glass like right in front of the building. It makes a little bit of sense too, because you need that extra bit of structure hiding, or structure kind of protecting the guests, I guess, from the polar bears. So yeah, this building itself went through a few different transformations, a few different, what you would say, the looks. It took me a little bit because I wasn't sure about the shape. I wasn't sure exactly what I wanted it to look like. Like this whole style, I was like, I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know what we should do. But here you can even see we jump. I changed my mind. I was like, this metal's not doing it for me. We're going to make this a concrete building. So I made it a concrete building in a very sudden flash there, and then started playing around a bit with stylizing now that we have the actual shape of the building kind of all laid out. I laid out a couple of sections there for shops and the stairs going down, and we'll end up adding more stairs in later on as well. It works out well in the end. It was just a bit of getting there. I don't even think... Actually, was this the final? I don't even think that's the final roof that we ended up with. I don't remember. Maybe I did keep that roof pattern. Now I don't even... Yeah, we'll have to check it again in the real-time part. I'm recording the audio part of this a little bit after I actually built it, unfortunately. But yeah, there was a lot of struggling with trying to figure out how to do the roof on this building. So that'll be... Yeah. Okay, yeah. We ended up flipping it around. That's what we did. So I thought this looked a little bit better flipped around than going the other way. So tall in the front, short in the back, because the back is all open for the guests anyway. So it's got high ceilings back there and kind of all makes sense. But yeah, this kind of, I think it works out. I like how it looks in the end. It looks funny for a while, this like big concrete box here. It's meant to look a bit rustic, a bit industrial as well, because that's just kind of, that is the style that makes sense in this sort of area. But yeah, it's definitely different for me. I don't do a lot of that kind of building. So again, pathing, I wanted to make sure that we could get from the top floor to the bottom floor and vice versa, as the guests seem to fit. So yeah, I don't even really have... My biggest tip for building this sort of thing is obviously stay on the grid, but you can't necessarily stay on the grid perfectly when you're trying to use stairs and ramps and stuff. So I don't know, it just took a lot of playing around with it. I eventually got it. I didn't film the whole part of me playing around with it because I didn't think that was very good content. So I eventually got it all figured out, and you'll see what the full thing looks like probably in the tour. But the last step here, or well, one of the last steps here for this building is creating these walls. So I was kind of looking at it, I was like, okay, the concrete looks cool on the outside, it looks rustic, it looks industrial, but on the inside, maybe we go for more of like almost like a little fishing hut sort of look. That's what this reminds me of a lot, very like almost nautical themed. So I wanted to go with this kind of, it's going to get a little darker. This was a little too light once we actually got in there, but this sort of like bluey green wooden walls with like cross beams. Whether those cross beams are wood or metal doesn't really matter. In this case, they're the metal ones, but you could probably pretend they were wooden as well if that makes more sense. And yeah, essentially I offset all of the cement walls or the concrete walls on the like outer part of the grid so that I could put these on the inner part of the grid, and it looks like the walls are different on the inside and outside of the building. Obviously, I don't do a lot of building interiors, so this is the first time I think I've really done something like this in a while, but I think it worked out quite well. Obviously, I need to go through and clean it all up. I think I do a lot of the cleanup and stuff off camera for the inside of the building, just because it's hard to film inside of a building, I find, and I don't want to like give you guys too bad of motion sickness, like going around all in there. But that's what I did, filled in the whole inside, and then added some windows because obviously this looked really bad just as it was. So at first I thought maybe big holes for windows, and then I would do like some bars on the windows, but I think the whole thing kind of looks It makes a little bit more sense with this smaller window, so I use these shop walls as the windows, and then just got rid of the bars from the inside of the window. And I eventually put the, like, just the regular glass pieces with the thin metal bars into the slots. I think you might see that, or maybe I did that off camera. I also don't really remember. But I think it just kind of ties the whole thing together. It's not super bright in here. Like, it's not really meant to have too many. Yeah, see, and then I put this is where I put the glass part into the windows. But yeah, so I put in a few windows. It's not super bright and like sunny, but that whole back wall is open, so I think it kind of works out anyway. I put some lighting inside and stuff too, so yeah, it doesn't look too like dark and dreary inside. And yeah, I think it works out okay. Of course, because we have all of the pathways, we've got these weird holes in the ground, we need to fill in the ground with something. So I thought sticking with kind of a bit of an industrial feel or old feel, this rock just kind of seemed like it would work well to me as kind of a sidewalk or like gravel, you know, walk area, and I end up putting that all around this building and the other building that I will eventually be making as well. And you know, we'll put some good curbs onto the sides of the pathway as well, because I think that just kind of always cleans things up a little bit, and it really looks like a place where, you know, you would have your vehicles probably driving anywhere, not only like, you know, on the road that the guests are walking on, but the whole thing is kind of paved and ready to go. So here we're just doing some detailing on this outside of the building. I played around quite a bit with trying to get like a bit of metal work in there, and I don't know, I was trying to use some of the corrugated like iron sheets and stuff, and like the ones with the rust, but the ones with the rust are almost too rusty. It's really weird. It's kind of tricky to like get a good balance between like it looks old, but the rusty pieces, like the weathered pieces, are too patterned almost. Like if you look at the roof of this building, for example, like it's all the exact same. You almost need a more like diverse range of the patterns, or maybe a more subtle pattern, so that when you do see it, I don't know exactly what would make it better. But yeah, this game I don't think caters very well to that kind of old rundown style very well, but that's okay. I think we made it work in the end. Anyway, and I did play around with these Europe pack stencils a little bit too, because even though it's not really rust like you would see in the actual like sample or the actual images from the zoo that this inspiration was taken from, it does still sort of fit. And I'm sure you probably could make these stencils look a bit more like rust if you like layered on different colors of orange and yellow and all of that in them, because they are Flexicolor. But again, this is my first time really doing a rundown building in this style, so maybe next time we'll do it a little bit better. But I think in the end it works out okay. And there is one other building that we built over in this area as well. I did kind of want to do more buildings, to be honest. Like I thought maybe this area there would be more room here, but it just, after I built the like habitat space in and the, I guess, path space in, just not a lot of room. Not as much room as I thought there was going to be. So only 2 buildings for now. I think I might do another building or 2 in this style for the other habitats, like as their shelter areas, and maybe, I don't know, I don't think there's going to be really any other room for guest buildings in those other 2 habitats, but we'll see. Either way, I think even with the 2 buildings, it gets the point across well enough, especially since this is kind of the end of the zoo. And I might even bring this style over to the gondola station. I don't really know yet. That would be like a next video, or like in the next couple of videos thing as we finish off this area. If it, you know, kind of looks better to have a more like, have that part of the gondola area and like leading up to the gondola also be in this style, and bring, like, almost make it look like the mining village is on both sides of the pathway here, that might be an option. So you can let me know what you think in the comments if that sounds like it might be a better idea, or at least get the make this look less like a, I don't know, just a couple of buildings misplaced. Because outside of the castle wall, right, like you can have we have this big palace wall going all the way around. So, I mean, that kind of makes sense for a stark contrast, right? You go through the palace wall and then maybe you just walk right into this little mining town that's right behind the the palace. So that might work out. Might work out quite well. I just need to maybe practice a little bit more of, or maybe it will be practice for me for making these buildings as well. You never know. But yeah, so this building, I ended up moving it around a little bit here, trying to figure out where to put it. But in the end, I want it to be the entrance into this little underground walkway. So what this is an entryway. It does connect to the other building as well, so you can kind of walk all the way through there like a big circle in either direction. But this actually is going to lead down to a little cave, like a sleeping cave viewing for the polar bears as well. So that's what that's going to be eventually. The polar bears are going to walk down into the cave, and the guests can kind of see into the cave from there as well. I thought it was a little bit easier, to be fair, to be honest, a little easier than making an above ground cave, to make an underground cave, but also just kind of adds a little bit more interest into the landscape. I'm trying to get a little bit better at making the landscapes in my habitats and stuff a bit more interesting and a bit more realistic. And I think I really like how this one turned out. So you can let me know, if you think this is a step up or if it's the exact same as all my other habitats. But I did really try to do more with the land in this polar bear habitat, and I think it worked out quite well. It does obviously help that there's so much more space in the polar bear habitat because they need to be very large, obviously, for polar bears, but yeah, I don't know. I think it works out quite well. It almost makes me wish that we could have more polar bears in the habitat, since they're so, I don't know, there's so much space now, so they could be anywhere at any given time, and guests aren't really going to necessarily be able to see them, because we can only have the two polar bears and then any cubs that they have, really, in the habitat. But we'll see. Maybe once the cubs are running around as well, they'll we obviously put the enrichment items closer to where the guests are to encourage them to stick around and all of that, so it might work out quite well. So far there's not a lot of guests, at least the little bit that I played after building this area. There's not a lot of guests coming into this area yet, so we'll see what happens when they actually stick around a little bit more. I think once this gondola station is open too, it'll obviously, the whole thing, I think will loop itself in and together and make the distribution of guests a little bit easier as well. But yeah, that's the hard thing about when you start building a zoo, is especially in franchise mode, you almost want to make it so that every step of the way it's good, and every step of the way your guests are going into the locations where you're having them go to, and your trains are all matching up. But when you have to have the rides, I find, since they have to be in a loop, to really make sense. I know you can do the shuttle, but then you can only have one car, and it's just not enough for the amount of guests that you would want to have. Since you have to kind of have the full loop, it's really hard to make the loop small and then add on to the loop as you add on to the zoo. It's almost like you need to just have the full zoo loop in the end, which means that your guests, while you're building and right after you build this area, aren't actually going to come all the way down here because your rides aren't open and all of that. So that is one part that I find a little bit tricky to manage, but overall, it'll work out in the end. The zoo is still making a ton of money, so I'm not really too concerned about that. I know the polar bears are quite expensive to have because they cost a lot in food, and their land area and stuff is obviously quite large. But we don't need to cool the habitat because we're in the Arctic. And I think that's one of the biggest costs for most people in their zoos, is cooling the polar bear habitat. So I'm hoping this polar bear habitat doesn't break the bank is basically what I'm thinking right now, but I think we'll be okay. So yeah, the last viewpoint that I decided to add in here. So I was thinking, okay, so you can go under here and view the polar bears in their underground cave. You can go and view the polar bears underwater or over water, but there isn't really a viewpoint for the polar bears otherwise, because the path doesn't go right against the edge of the habitat and all of that. So I just built a little platform up there, and that's where our education point is going to be as well, so they can throw food from up there in to the habitat as well, which I'm really happy about. I've had some issues with throwing food before, with those kind of raised viewing platforms, but this one seems to work. It says that they can throw food, so I don't know if that was a fix or if it's just something about the way I built this one that I didn't really catch the pattern of, but it does seem to work, so that's going to be really cool too. I think, for the education talk points, especially with the new updates coming in for the educators as well, which is going to be super fun. I guess they can walk around. It's going to be next week, or something, or like the April 12th. The update is coming, so maybe that's 2 weeks. But yeah, the educators are going to be able to actually walk around and like do other stuff. So I'm hoping that helps with like education ratings and stuff as well, because that's always like the hardest thing, obviously, to get in your zoo is a high education rating. So yeah, that's I'm looking forward to that as well, because I've been trying to make use of the educators, but it is tricky when all they have is the talk points, and you have to make sure your guests are getting there and getting there on time and all of that. So I think that'll be really good. But yeah, here in the video, we're just making the cave there. That was the cave that I was talking about. And here, so the first cutoff that I had put there, where I was going to cut them off right behind, like right halfway through the lake there, not big enough. I added in one polar bear, and it was big enough for that polar bear, and it probably would have been big enough technically for 2 polar bears, but it was so close to the line. I was like, I don't want to have a litter of polar bears, like cubs, and suddenly it not be big enough anymore. So I greatly expanded it, and now it's plenty big enough for them. I created a whole other like level up here with another lake. I end up fixing it the edges here a little bit so they can't walk off the edge. It's too steep there. And I'll probably have to do something to fix that when I add in. There's going to be another bear habitat behind it, is kind of the idea. So I think it'll be really cool when you're on that like nature walk path for the next episode when we finish off this area. You're going to see the polar bears up on the top, but also the grizzlies or the Himalayas. I don't know which is going to go where. But you're going to see the other bear like down below walking around, and I don't know, I just think it's going to be really cool to see them all kind of together and all in one view. So I'm really looking forward to that one. But yeah, the rest of this video, the rest of the habitat obviously is just detailing, adding in the foliage, adding in their enrichment and their food and all of that. I wanted to make this whole area over here is going to be a bit more foresty. So we're going basically into, I don't know, not really Arctic kind of territory, but like northern forest is kind of what I was going for, which I don't know actually if polar bears live with too much of a forest typically, but it was within their coverage limits. So, I mean, whatever. I think it looks cool. I think the foliage, like the plants in this game, just look so good. They make everything look so much better. So this whole back area is going to be covered in this kind of like forest style situation, because I just think it looks really cool, and we're going for like a, you know, maybe even Canadian North sort of theme for this back area here. And I just love how it looks with a little bit more plants. The rest of the zoo is so, like, we've done the city, we did the village, we did, like, it's just, we're getting out into nature now in this back area of the zoo. And I think I'm probably going to bring this, like, more nature-focused theme up into the mountain as well, as we go up there and build the last few habitats. But yeah, that's the idea there. So I think, yeah, and then obviously I wanted to make sure that this underwater viewing area looked really good, so rocks, a ton of rocks to line the edges and go against the, hide all of that grass that I do turn it more into like dirt and rock afterwards as well, but I think it looks better when it's lined with actual rocks. It looks a little bit more realistic. And of course, we'll add a bunch of underwater plants into here as well, just to color it up a little bit. And the only thing that I really put in here for them, I think the only thing that there was really as an option was the underwater feeder. So that underwater feeder is going to be here. Hopefully, whenever it goes off, the polar bears are going to dive down, enjoy it, and all of that. But I think that makes it, just a few more enrichment items, and that is it for this habitat. So let's go and take a closer look in real time. All right, so here we are. We've got a sunny day to show off this habitat here. It also hasn't snowed in a while, so I don't know. The zoo looks kind of funny when it's not snowing, but it's okay. It's can't snow all the time. So let's this is kind of the entry area here. So let's go up first and take a look from this little viewing platform. So this is where the education talk point take place. That's what I was talking about. We've got the seating here, and I think this will be a really cool little area to, you know, throw the food in for them. And you can see them. Ooh, there you can see one of the polar bears right over there. I don't actually know what they're doing over there. There's nothing over there, but very cool. Creeping around in the background. These guys are obviously watching that one. Good view, hey? I actually really like that. Okay, cool. So I don't know if we can spot the other one from here. Yeah, it doesn't look like it quite yet, but oh, look at him like just wandering through there. Wow, that looks, I don't know, there's something interesting. The polar bears are really cool animals in this game. They look so, I don't know, exactly what you would expect. But anyway, so this is kind of, you know, this is what we ended up with the curbing and all of that. So it's a little bit more clean lined through here, and the curbing along that edge as well. So let's go into the mining entrance here. So covered in rocks, we go instantly from building to just like underground. And oh, here he is. So here is the other polar bear in the cave sleeping. So this is the view for that. Unfortunately, there's nobody here to enjoy it, but this area is not that busy yet. So hopefully soon people will, you know to make their way down here, and you can watch the polar bears sleeping, which is super fun. Lots of education in here. We've got a bathroom down here. And this is the underwater viewing, so when they are swimming, you can see them come and dive down for the feeder and all of that. Very cool, very clear. I made this water totally clear so you could see them get a really good view. Let's just continue on going through the building, go upstairs. So this little halfway area, this is just basically the landing for the stairs, but I decided this would be a good place to add in the shops. So we've got a gift shop, a food shop, and a drink shop all in here, just so that, guests can be encouraged to go up and down. And this is the view from above the water. Again, you could kind of imagine if they were swimming or if they were even wandering around. Actually, I don't know if they can really get up here. I kind of tried to make the rocks a bit more, a bit more even so that they could walk up here. I don't know that they really can, but I mean, what are the chances anyway? They've got a lot of other places to be. They might not be up there necessarily. But yeah, this is what the inside of the building looks like. From here, oh no, I forgot to do that wall. Oh, I did this one and I forgot to do that one. Okay, I'll have to do that. But we also have 2 more bathrooms here too. I went a little bit crazy with the bathrooms in this one, but I sometimes forget to put bathrooms in, so we've got lots of bathrooms here. Anyway, so then we continue on down here. This is going to be another habitat. We'll see that one after next episode. But you can also get a bit of a view of the polar bears from up here. And you can really see the other area up here too. So that's kind of the other polar bear habitat area. You might be able to spot one if you're taking this path as well, and then you can kind of see how it would look as we're going through here and build it up for next episode. This is going to be another bear habitat down here, so might be able to see the polar bears wandering around up the top, and then something else going on down below. But yeah, that is what that looks like. It's kind of what it looks like more from an aerial view. Got the cave. We've got, oh yeah, he's swimming now. Very cool. Okay, let's take a look actually at what they look like. Oh, there's 2 of them. Yeah. Okay, so as soon as the feeder goes off, they're very into it. I love that. Yeah, they look so good swimming. Yeah, this is going to be a good view. Come and look at the polar bears swimming. They really don't care about them. Look how cool that looks. They can actually dive all the way down. Oh, I love that. But anyway, yeah, they're now exiting the water. I just had to get a little bit of footage of them swimming, maybe for the intro part there. But yeah, that is pretty much it. I don't know what else is going on in the zoo right now. For some reason, my keepers are still having a hard time keeping everybody fed. It's really, I don't know, I just keep, every once in a while, I'll get like a habitat that is just having issues. Like the vet hasn't been there in ages or something. So I'm not really sure what's going on with that, but I did add some more staff. Like we have lots of vets now. Like the keepers, this keeper has a high workload, but like I've been also training them. I kind of fell off the wagon a little bit with remembering to train them up more often, but yeah, I don't know what it is. Like these, I guess the Ice Palace maybe has too high of a workload, but I haven't really seen a lot of issues with that one in particular. I only added one to the bear mines for now. I do think I'm going to add a second keeper to the bear area once we get the other bears in. But yeah, like we've got that. So we've got... I put a ton of caretakers too because they're having issues keeping up with the litter. So I don't know. I guess it's fine. We'll need to eventually work a little bit more on guest happiness. I don't exactly know what's making guests unhappy right now. I haven't been paying too much attention yet. Yeah, it's litter, it's cold. That's the worst parts. I'm surprised they're getting so cold because I've been pretty good at like keeping the temperature, like putting heaters everywhere. So I'm not entirely sure where everybody is so cold. Maybe it's just like these people gathered around on the edges here. Maybe I just need to clean it up a little bit on this part. Because ever since then, like since I've been building these areas, I feel like I've been doing a really good job of like keeping it so that people... Oh, I guess I missed this whole area. Okay, so I'm not doing a very good job. But yeah, I will go through again and make sure that all of the areas that the guests are going are warmed up because we don't want unhappy and cold guests, do we? I also think our education rating is pretty subpar as well. I need to add speakers in for the polar bears, but maybe I'll just do the full like once over of all of that area once we get the other habitats in next episode. So yeah, that is basically it for this one. That is what you're also gonna expect next episode. So I'm thinking we're gonna do one of the bear habitats be in here. So they'll be all the way from, I don't know, probably like cut off around here. This whole area here, they'll have this place to swim. It'll go up to the gondola station. I'll probably have to put something over here, maybe some rocks or something to keep them from actually being able to access it. And maybe like a wall on this side of the gondola station as well. So I'll have to play around with that a little bit to see how that's gonna work. Or maybe I just make it like, make a big divot here so that they can't go through. Like expand the lake to be around the gondola station so they can't get there or something. But we'll figure that one out. And then it'll probably like go back to here a little ways as well. Just to give them a little bit more space, but that'll be one bear habitat, and then the other one's going to be over in this area here. So I'm thinking basically this whole, like maybe from here to here, or so. And I was actually thinking it would be cute to have like a big lake in the distance too, where you would like, it'd be more like a viewpoint, but you'd view from here, you'd view like this great big cute lake. Maybe I'll expand out the area that's raised here, and you can put like a little lodge up here for, you know, like a little wood lodge, maybe for food and drink and all of that could be cute. I don't know, we'll have to see. If you have any ideas, let me know in the comments as well on this video, because I will be starting this build right after this video goes live. So yeah, I think that's pretty much it. Hopefully it snows here soon too, because I like the ground covered in snow better than when it's been so sunny, but I don't know why it hasn't snowed in a while. So as always, let me know in the comment section below what you thought of this episode, what you want to see in this zoo. We have kind of this whole area up here still before we're wrapping up, so if you have any cool ideas for up here, let me know, and I will talk to you in the next one.